The first time I shifted, my own family nailed the attic door shut, but they didn't realize that after 7 years of silence, tonight's blood moon would make me howl loud enough to shatter their lies. I pressed my face against the gap in the wooden planks, watching the packhouse yard fill with wolves. 7 years I'd been up here. 7 years since Harold and Mira Blackwood decided their adopted daughter was too broken to be seen. "You're deformed," Mira had hissed through the door on my 16th birthday, hours after my first shift had left me trembling and confused. "Your wolf is twisted. Pathetic. If the pack sees what you are, we'll all be shamed." I'd believed her. What else could I do? I was 16, terrified, and the shift had felt wrong, painful in ways the other young wolves never described. My howl had come out strangled, weak. Or so they'd told me. Now, at 23, I knew every crack in these attic boards, every stain on the rough blanket they'd thrown up here, every lie they'd fed me through the slot in the door. Below, the pack gathered for the blood moon ceremony. It was mandatory, every wolf in the Blackwood pack had to attend. Which meant Harold and Mira were down there right now, playing the part of respectable pack members. Grieving parents, probably, whose adopted daughter had run away years ago. I'd stopped screaming for help after the first year. No one could hear me anyway. The attic was soundproofed, warded with magic that cost more than the Blackwoods should have been able to afford. That should have been my first clue. A sleek black car pulled up to the packhouse, and the crowd went silent. I couldn't see much through my spy hole, but I heard the whispers rise like wine through dead leaves. The Alpha King. Theron himself. Why would he come here? My heart kicked against my ribs. The Alpha King never visited small packs like ours. We were nobody, a struggling pack in the mountains, barely holding territory. A man emerged from the car, and even from my limited view, I could see the power rolling off him. Tall, broad-shouldered, moving with the liquid grace of a born predator. Dark hair caught the moonlight. When he turned his head, I glimpsed a sharp jawline and eyes that seemed to glow even in human form. Alpha King Theron. I'd heard stories. Everyone had. He'd united the packs 10 years ago, ended the territorial wars, and ruled with an iron fist wrapped in calculated mercy. They said he could kill with a look. They said he'd never found his mate, that he was still searching. They said a lot of things. Alpha King. Harold's voice carried up through the floorboards, unctuous and false. "We're honored by your presence. Save it, Blackwood." Theron's voice was deep, cold. "I'm here because your pack finances don't add up. Someone's skimming, and I intend to find out who." I smiled in the darkness. So Harold's side business had finally caught up with him. He'd been selling pack resources for years, timber rights, hunting permits, things that should have benefited everyone. Instead, he'd lined his own pockets. "There must be some mistake," Mira began. "There's no mistake." Theron's voice cut through her protests like a blade. "I have the records. We'll discuss this inside." The crowd shifted nervously. I pressed closer to my spy hole, watching them file into the packhouse. This was the most excitement I'd had in years. And then I felt it. The pull of the blood moon, rising full and red over the mountains. No. Not tonight. But my wolf didn't care about my fear. She'd been caged too long, silent too long, pushed down and told she was broken for too long. The shift took me before I could stop it. Pain exploded through my body, but different than before. Not wrong. Not twisted. This felt like power finally unleashed, like something that had been compressed for years suddenly breaking free. My bones reformed, my muscles stretched, and when my wolf finally emerged, she was nothing like the pathetic creature Mira had described. She was magnificent. And she wanted to be heard. The howl built in my chest like a storm. I tried to stop it, tried to remember the soundproofing, the wards, all the magic that had kept me hidden. But my wolf was done hiding. The howl erupted from my throat with a force that shook the attic walls. It wasn't weak. It wasn't pathetic. It was pure, primal power, the kind of howl that demanded answers, that called to something ancient and wild. The sound shattered the wards like glass. Downstairs, I heard someone drop something. Voices raised in confusion. And then, cutting through everything, Theron's voice, that howl, impossible. I heard him moving, heard the authority in his tone as he barked orders. Find the source. Now. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. My wolf wanted to howl again, wanted to claw through the door and run. But I forced the shift back, gasping as I returned to human form. My skin was slick with sweat, my hands shaking. The attic door rattled. It's locked, someone said. Boarded from the outside. Break it down. Theron's voice was close now, just on the other side of the wall. Wait. That was Mira, high and panicked. Your Majesty, there's nothing up there. Just storage. That sound, it must have come from outside, from the woods. That howl came from inside this house. Theron's words were flat, final. And it was no ordinary wolf. I heard Harold's nervous laugh. Your Majesty, surely you don't think. Stand aside. A pause. Then footsteps coming toward the door. I scrambled backward, pulling the thin blanket around my naked body. This was it. After 7 years, someone was finally coming. But I didn't know if I was being rescued or if I just made everything worse. Myra's voice again, desperate now. Please, you don't understand. The door shuddered. Once. Twice. She's dangerous. Mira screamed. She's broken, she's. The door exploded inward. Theron stood in the doorway, and for a moment, we just stared at each other. His eyes were gold, pure, molten gold. Alpha eyes, blazing with power and something else. Shock. Recognition? Impossible, he whispered. Behind him, I could see Harold and Mira, their faces white with terror. Good. Let them be afraid. Theron took a step forward, his gaze locked on mine. Who are you? I opened my mouth to answer, but Mira moved faster than I'd ever seen her move. She lunged past Theron, a syringe in her hand. No. I tried to dodge, but 7 years of captivity had left me weak. The needle bit into my shoulder, and liquid fire spread through my veins. What have you done? Theron's roar shook the house. But it was too late. The drug was already working, pulling me down into darkness. My vision blurred. I saw Theron catch me as I fell, felt his arms around me, strong, warm, safe. Your Majesty, please, Harold was babbling. She's dangerous, she's not right, we were protecting the pack. Protecting? Theron's voice was death itself. You imprisoned her. Starved her. And that howl, he broke off, and I felt his fingers brush my shoulder. The shoulder where the scar lived. The scar I'd had for as long as I could remember, hidden under my hair. The scar Mira had always told me to keep covered, that it was ugly, shameful. Through my fading consciousness, I heard Theron's sharp intake of breath. The royal mark, he whispered. By the moon, she's alive. But I was already falling into the dark, his words echoing in my head like a promise or a prophecy. She's alive. Who was alive? Who did he think I was? The last thing I heard before the darkness took me was Theron's voice, cold as winter, speaking words that would change everything. Arrest them both. If she dies, they die. And someone get me every record of her adoption. Now. Then nothing. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. I woke to voices arguing in the darkness. No, not darkness. My eyes were simply too heavy to open. But I could hear everything with crystal clarity, as if my wolf senses had sharpened during unconsciousness. She needs a hospital. That voice was unfamiliar. Female, clipped with authority. Absolutely not. Theron. Even barely conscious, I recognized the Alpha King's voice, dark velvet wrapped around steel. No one outside this room learns of her existence until I understand what's happening here. Your Majesty, she's severely malnourished. Dehydrated. The drug they gave her. Then treat her here. Bring whatever you need. But she doesn't leave my sight. A pause. Then, quieter, you think she's really? The mark doesn't lie. His voice dropped so low I almost couldn't hear it. I need to search this house. Every corner. If Marcus Blackwood kept her locked in an attic for 7 years, what else is he hiding? Marcus. Not Harold. I'd been so disoriented, so focused on Theron's arrival, that I hadn't realized Harold wasn't just Pack, he was Elder Marcus Blackwood, one of the council members who advised the Alpha King himself. The betrayal cut deeper than I'd thought possible. Footsteps moved away from my bed, a real bed, I realized with shock, soft and clean-smelling. Not the pile of blankets I'd slept on for years. Where was I? I forced my eyes open to slits. A bedroom. Large, elegantly furnished, with moonlight streaming through tall windows. Not the pack house. Somewhere else. Theron stood with his back to me, talking to a woman in a white coat, the doctor, presumably. Even in silhouette, he commanded the space. Power radiated from him like heat from a flame. Stay with her, he said. If she wakes, call me immediately. Don't let anyone else in this room. No one. And if the Blackwoods demand to see her? His shoulders tensed. They're in a cell where they belong. If they're smart, they'll stay quiet and pray I'm feeling merciful when this is over. He moved toward the door, and something in me panicked. Don't go. The thought came from my wolf, desperate and certain. Don't leave us again. Again? I'd never met him before tonight. But my wolf knew him. Recognized him on a level that bypassed logic and went straight to instinct. I tried to speak, but my throat was too dry. The sound that came out was barely a whisper. Theron froze. Then he was across the room in a heartbeat, kneeling beside the bed. His eyes, still that impossible molten gold, locked onto mine. Easy, he said, his voice gentler than I'd heard it yet. Don't try to talk. You're safe now. The doctor hurried over with water, but Theron took the glass from her and held it to my lips himself, supporting my head with surprising tenderness. The water was cold and perfect. I drank greedily until he pulled it away. Slowly, he murmured. You'll make yourself sick. I found my voice. Who am I? Something flickered in his eyes. Pain, maybe. Or recognition of pain yet to come. That's what I'm going to find out. He set the glass aside. What do you remember? Before the Blackwoods. Nothing. I had to stop and catch my breath. Even talking exhausted me. I was 7 when they adopted me. They said my parents died in a rogue attack. Said I was lucky they took me in. Lucky, Theron repeated, his voice flat with barely contained rage. They locked you in an attic for 7 years and called it luck. They said I was broken. The words tasted bitter. That my wolf was deformed, that if anyone saw me shift, the pack would reject me. Kill me, maybe. They said they were protecting me. Your wolf is not broken. He said it with such absolute certainty that I almost believed him. That howl tonight. Sarah, wolves haven't howled with that kind of power in nearly 2 decades. Not since. He stopped himself, jaw clenching. Not since what? Not since the royal family was killed. He studied my face as he spoke, watching for my reaction. My uncle, his mate, and their daughter. She would have been about 7 years old when they died. My heart stuttered. You think no. That's impossible. The mark on your shoulder suggests otherwise. His fingers moved as if to touch it, then stopped. May I? I nodded, too stunned to speak. Gently, he brushed my hair aside and traced the scar on my shoulder. I'd always thought it was just a birthmark, an ugly, twisted thing that looked almost like a brand. The royal seal, Theron said softly. Every royal wolf is born with it. My father had one. I have one. He pulled down the collar of his shirt, revealing an identical mark on his own shoulder. And according to all our histories, my cousin had one. Your cousin. Serafina. He met my eyes. They called her Sarah. The room tilted. I gripped the sheets to steady myself, but nothing felt steady anymore. Nothing felt real. I can't be. I need to search the house, Theron said, his voice taking on that edge of command again. The Blackwoods kept records. They must have. No one hides a child for 16 years without documentation, without a plan. He stood, and I felt the loss of his nearness like a physical thing. Rest. Dr. Chen will stay with you. I'll return soon. Wait. I struggled to sit up, ignoring the doctor's protest. I want to come with you. You can barely stand. It's my life you're searching for. I met his gaze, refusing to back down. I've spent 7 years in that attic. I know every sound, every hiding place. If there are secrets in that house, I can help you find them. For a long moment, he just looked at me. Then, surprisingly, he smiled, a quick flash of approval that transformed his stern face. You have her fire, he said quietly. My aunt's fire. Very well. But you'll eat something first, and if you collapse, I'm carrying you back here and you'll wait like I said. It wasn't quite agreement, but it was close enough. 20 minutes later, dressed in clothes the doctor had somehow produced and fortified by broth that tasted like heaven, I stood outside the pack house with Theron. The building looked different from ground level. Smaller, somehow. Less intimidating. The pack had been dismissed, sent home with orders not to speak of tonight's events. Guards Theron had brought with him stood at every entrance. Through the windows, I could see more guards searching inside. The attic first, Theron said. I want you to show me everything. Walking up those stairs felt surreal. How many times had I heard footsteps on these boards, hoping someone was coming to free me? How many times had those footsteps passed by? The door to the attic still hung in splinters where Theron had broken it down. Inside, my prison looked even more pathetic in the lamplight. The thin blanket, the bucket in the corner, the stack of journals I'd kept. Wait. The journals, I said sharply. There were more. I had at least 30 of them. Theron's expression darkened. He turned to one of his guards. Find them. Search Marcus and Myra's rooms, the office, everywhere. Someone removed them. I moved to the small trunk where I'd kept my writings, my hands shaking. Most of it was gone. Years of thoughts, observations, desperate attempts to understand what was happening to me, vanished. But they'd missed one. I pulled it from where it had fallen behind the trunk, wedged between the wall and the floorboards. The earliest one, from my first year of imprisonment. Here, I said, handing it to Theron. He opened it carefully, his eyes scanning the pages. I watched his jaw tighten as he read my 16-year-old self's confused, frightened words. They say I'm broken, but I don't understand how. My wolf feels strong. Alive. But when I try to shift, the pain is unbearable. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am defective. Mira brought food today but wouldn't look at me. I asked again when I could come downstairs. She said never. She said if the pack sees me, they'll know what we are. What we are. What does that mean? Theron's hand clenched on the journal. Keep reading, I said quietly. He turned the page. I heard them fighting tonight. Marcus and Mira, downstairs. Marcus said they should have killed me when they had the chance, that keeping me alive was too dangerous. Mira said no, that they'd already committed enough sins, that my death would damn them beyond redemption. What sins? What did they do? I'm scared. I think I'm supposed to be dead. There's more, I said when Theron looked up, his eyes blazing. Keep going. It gets worse. He read in silence for several minutes, his expression growing darker with each page. I remember something. A dream, maybe, or a memory. Fire. Screaming. Running through the woods with someone, a woman with silver hair. She was crying, telling me to hide, to not make a sound. Then Marcus was there. He smiled at her. She seemed relieved. She shouldn't have been. I remember blood. So much blood. And Marcus carrying me away while the house burned behind us. It wasn't a dream, was it? Theron closed the journal carefully, as if it might shatter. When he spoke, his voice was rough with emotion. My uncle's house burned down. They said it was an accident, a faulty wire, a tragedy. They found 3 bodies, burned beyond recognition. We buried them as family. He looked at me. But one of those bodies wasn't you. They killed them, I whispered. Marcus killed my parents. And claimed the reward for eliminating a royal threat. Theron's voice was hollow now. After the territorial wars, there was a bounty on royal blood. Unofficial, but real. Gold, land, power, all offered to anyone who could prove they'd ended the royal line. My father spent years hunting down the conspirators, but some names were never confirmed. Marcus Blackwood. Elder Marcus Blackwood, Theron corrected bitterly. A trusted advisor. A pillar of the community. A man who sat in councils and helped make laws while he hid a kidnapped princess in his attic. He moved through the attic with renewed intensity, checking every board, every corner. His guards joined him, pulling up floorboards, examining the walls. Sir. One of the guards held up a loose board. There's something here. Beneath the board was a metal box, locked and sealed with wax. Theron broke it open without ceremony. Inside were documents. Adoption papers, forged, clearly, with signatures that didn't match any official records. Photographs, me as a child, always with my shoulder covered. And a ledger, filled with transactions. Theron's hands shook as he read. Payment for royal elimination. 50,000 in gold, delivered in installments. Land grants in the Northern Territory. A seat on the Elder Council. He looked up, and I saw murder in his eyes. They profited from your family's death for 16 years. And when you started to become a liability, they locked you away. Why didn't they just kill me? The question came out before I could stop it. Mira. Theron tapped one of the documents. She objected. According to this, she threatened to expose Marcus if he harmed you. So he found another solution: hide you away, suppress your wolf with drugs and isolation, make you believe you were worthless. He set the papers down, his control visibly fraying. She enabled him. Even if her conscience bothered her, she chose comfort over courage. A sound from the doorway made us both turn. One of Theron's guards stood there, holding a stack of journals, my missing journals. Found them in the elder's safe, the guard said. Along with these. He held up more documents. Letters, by the look of them. Theron took them, his eyes scanning quickly. Then he went very, very still. What is it? I asked. Letters from my uncle. His voice was barely audible. To Marcus, asking him to watch over you if anything happened to him. Asking him to keep you safe. He looked at me, and I saw devastation in his face. My uncle trusted him. Trusted Marcus to protect his daughter. And Marcus betrayed that trust in the worst way possible. I couldn't breathe. My father, because if this was all true, then the man in those letters was my father, had trusted his friend. Had believed his child would be safe. And that friend had murdered him for gold. I'm going to kill him, I said quietly. No. Theron's voice was hard. He'll stand trial. He'll answer for every crime, every betrayal. And then, if the law demands it, I'll carry out the execution myself. But it will be justice, not vengeance. Why? My wolf snarled inside me, demanding blood. Why does he deserve justice when he showed my parents none? Because you are royal. Theron stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. Because you are Seraphina, daughter of Prince Adrian and Princess Lissa, heir to the crown and my father's niece. Because you are not broken, or twisted, or weak, you are a queen, whether you know it yet or not. And queens do not murder in the dark. They rule in the light. Something in his words reached through my rage. My wolf, who moments ago had been howling for blood, suddenly went quiet. And then she did something I'd never felt her do before. She bowed. Not physically, I was still standing, but inside, I felt her lower her head in submission. Not in fear or weakness, but in recognition. In acknowledgement of something greater than herself. Theron's eyes flashed gold. His wolf had felt it too. Impossible, he breathed. Wolves only bow to true royalty, I finished. The knowledge came from somewhere deep, somewhere that remembered things my conscious mind had forgotten. Your wolf recognizes mine. And yours recognizes me. He looked shaken, a crack in his iron control. Seraphina. Do you understand what this means? That I'm your cousin. More than that. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so human it startled me. My father was the eldest. Your father was second born. When my father died 3 years ago, I inherited the crown. But according to pack law, if a royal child survives, if you survive, then the succession changes. I stared at him. You're saying you're not just a princess. His voice was steady, but I heard the weight behind it. You're my co-heir. The only other living royal wolf. By law and blood, you have as much right to the throne as I do. The attic felt too small suddenly, the walls closing in. I was Seraphina. Princess Seraphina. Not broken, not worthless, not a mistake to be hidden away. Royal. The word should have felt foreign. Instead, it settled into my bones like coming home. I don't want your throne, I said. Theron's lips quirked. Good. Because I'm not giving it up. But you will take your place beside me. As princess, as heir, as family. His expression softened. You've been alone long enough, cousin. Let me help you reclaim what was stolen. Cousin. The word sparked something warm in my chest. Family. I'd spent 7 years believing I had no one. That I was alone in the world, broken and unwanted. But I had family. I had a cousin who'd broken down doors to find me, who'd seen my mark and recognized what it meant. Who looked at me like I mattered. What happens now? I asked. Theron's expression hardened again, the Alpha King returning. Now we bring Marcus and Mira Blackwood to trial. We expose their crimes to every pack in the kingdom. And we make sure everyone knows that the royal line did not end, that you survived, and that anyone who threatens you will face my wrath. He held out his hand. Welcome back, Princess Seraphina. Let's remind the world what royal wolves can do. I took his hand, and felt the power in his grip. The strength that came from years of ruling, of surviving, of refusing to break. My wolf recognized that strength. Answered it with her own. Together, we walked out of the attic. I didn't look back. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. The journey to the royal compound took 3 hours. I spent most of it staring out the window of Theron's car, watching the forest blur past while my mind tried to catch up with reality. Princess. Royal. Family. The words felt like stones in my mouth, heavy, foreign, impossible to swallow. Theron sat across from me in silence, occasionally glancing up from the documents he was reading. Medical reports, I realized. About me. My malnutrition, the drugs in my system, the physical toll of 7 years in captivity. Stop reading that, I said suddenly. My voice came out rougher than intended. He looked up, surprised. It was the first time I'd spoken since we'd left the pack house. You need to know what you're dealing with, he said. I lived it. I don't need a report to tell me I'm damaged. You're not damaged. His voice was sharp. You're recovering. There's a difference. I turned back to the window, not trusting myself to respond. Inside, my wolf paced restlessly. She'd been agitated since we'd left the attic, prowling the edges of my consciousness like a caged animal finally tasting freedom but not knowing what to do with it. 7 years locked away had done something to her. To both of us. Sarah. Theron's voice was gentler now. When we arrive at the compound, there will be questions. Challenges. The elders will want proof of who you are. I have the mark. The mark is a start. But there are wolves who will claim it's a forgery, a trick. They'll want more. I finally looked at him. They'll want me to prove I'm not broken. Yes. And if I can't? His jaw tightened. Then I'll make them accept you anyway. You're my blood, Sarah. That's not negotiable. But I heard what he wasn't saying. If I couldn't prove myself, I'd be a liability. A weakness in his armor. And in the world of pack politics, weakness got you killed. What kind of proof? I asked. The recognition trials. 3 tests of royal ability, strength, control, and heritage. Pass them, and no one can question your claim. And if I fail? You won't fail. You don't know that. My wolf snarled inside me, feeding my anger. You don't know what they did to me, what they took from me. I couldn't even shift properly until last night. How am I supposed to pass trials that require abilities I don't have? You do have them. Theron leaned forward, his intensity pinning me in place. That howl last night, do you understand what it meant? Royal wolves haven't produced a call like that in decades. Your power isn't gone, Sarah. It was just locked away, like you were. And now that you're free. He trailed off, but I understood. Now that I was free, my wolf was waking up. And neither of us knew what she was capable of. The thought terrified me. The royal compound was massive, a sprawling estate nestled in the mountains, surrounded by forest and protected by guards at every entrance. As we drove through the gates, I saw wolves everywhere. Training in the yards, patrolling the grounds, watching our approach with curious, calculating eyes. They all stopped to stare as Theron's car passed. News traveled fast in the pack world. By now, everyone probably knew that the Alpha King had found someone claiming to be the lost princess. And they were all wondering if I was real or just another pretender. Ignore them, Theron said, noting my discomfort. They'll stare until the novelty wears off. Focus on staying calm. Calm. Right. Because nothing about this situation was panic-inducing at all. The car stopped in front of a grand building that looked more like a palace than a pack house. Theron got out first, then offered me his hand. I took it, grateful for the steadiness of his grip as my legs threatened to buckle. 3 hours in a car after 7 years of barely moving had left me shaky and weak. Slowly, Theron murmured. There's no rush. But there was a rush. I could feel it in the tension of the guards around us, in the way wolves were already gathering. Word had spread. They wanted to see the lost princess. They wanted to see if I was worth believing in. A group of older wolves emerged from the building, 5 of them, dressed in formal robes that marked them as elders. Pack leaders, I realized. The council that advised the Alpha King. One of them stepped forward, a silver-haired woman with sharp eyes that reminded me of a hawk. Your Majesty, she said, her voice cool. We heard rumors of your discovery. Is this her? Elder Cashin. Theron's voice carried that edge of command that made even powerful wolves straighten. May I present Princess Seraphina, daughter of Prince Adrian and Princess Lissa. My cousin, and heir to the royal line. The declaration sent a ripple through the gathered crowd. I heard whispers, gasps, a few low growls of disbelief. Elder Cashin's expression didn't change. She studied me with those hawk eyes, taking in my thin frame, my uncertain stance, the way I had to lean slightly on Theron for support. She bears the mark? Cashin asked. Theron nodded to me. With shaking hands, I pulled aside my collar to reveal the scar on my shoulder. Cashin stepped closer, examining it. Her fingers were cold when she touched my skin, tracing the pattern of the mark. It appears genuine, she said finally. But appearances can be deceiving. There are wolves who would fake such a mark to claim royal privilege. Are you calling me a liar? The words came out before I could stop them, sharp and defensive. Cashin's eyebrows rose. I'm calling you unproven, girl. The mark is only the beginning. To be recognized as royal, you must undergo the trials. She just escaped 7 years of imprisonment, Theron said, his voice dangerously soft. She needs time to recover before. The trials don't wait for convenience, Your Majesty. If she is truly royal, her heritage will sustain her. If not. Cashin shrugged. Then we'll know soon enough. Another elder stepped forward, a broad-shouldered man with a scarred face. Elder Cashin is right. We can't simply accept her claim without proof. Too much is at stake. What's at stake, Elder Marcus? Theron's voice was ice now. My judgment? My authority? The scarred elder, a different Marcus, not my captor, didn't back down. Your sole claim to the throne, Your Majesty. If she is royal, then by pack law, she shares your power. Some of us believe that's exactly what we need. Others. He glanced at Cashin. Others see it as a threat to the stability you've built. I felt Theron tense beside me. This was politics, I realized. Ancient, dangerous pack politics that I didn't understand. But I understood one thing clearly, some of these elders wanted me dead. The trials will begin in 3 days, Cashin announced. That gives the girl time to rest and prepare. If she survives them, we'll accept her claim. If not. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Theron's hand tightened on mine. 3 days, then. But she trains under my supervision. No one else touches her. No one else speaks to her without my permission. Is that clear? The elders exchanged looks. Finally, Cashin nodded. As you wish, Your Majesty. But know this, if she fails, there will be consequences. For both of you. It was a threat. Thinly veiled, but unmistakable. Theron's eyes flashed gold. Are you threatening your king, Elder Cashin? I'm reminding my king that even royal blood doesn't exempt one from pack law. 3 days, Your Majesty. Make them count. She turned and walked away, the other elders following. Only the scarred Marcus lingered, his expression troubled. Your Majesty, he said quietly. Be careful. There are those who see the princess as salvation. And others who see her as a convenient way to weaken you. Watch your back. Then he too was gone, leaving Theron and me alone with the guards. Come on, Theron said, his voice tight. Let's get you inside before anyone else decides to make a political statement. The room Theron gave me was beautiful, large windows overlooking the forest, a massive bed with soft sheets, a bathroom with running water that made me want to cry. But it was also a cage. Guards stood outside the door. The windows were locked. And when I tried to open the door to explore, Theron was there, blocking my path. You can't leave, he said. Not yet. It's not safe. Another prison, then. My wolf snarled, pushing against my skin. Just a prettier one. It's protection, not imprisonment. There's a difference. Is there? I pushed past him, needing space, needing air. You heard them. Half the elders want me dead. The other half want to use me to undermine you. And I'm supposed to just sit here and wait for the trials that will probably kill me? You're not going to die. Theron followed me into the room, closing the door. I won't let that happen. You can't promise that. I spun to face him, and suddenly he was too close, his presence overwhelming in the confined space. You don't know what I can do. Hell, I don't know what I can do. My wolf is. I broke off, because my wolf had done something strange. She'd gone completely still, focused entirely on Theron. On his wolf. I felt the connection between them like a physical pull, something primal and powerful that made my breath catch. Theron felt it too. I saw his eyes flash gold, saw his hands clench as he fought for control. We need to talk about this, he said, his voice rough. About what? About what's happening between us. He took a deliberate step back, putting distance between us. Royal wolves bond differently than normal wolves. When we find our equals, our mates, the connection is intense. Powerful. Sometimes overwhelming. My heart was pounding. What are you saying? I'm saying that your wolf recognizes mine. And mine recognizes yours. Not just as family. As something more. The implication hit me like a physical blow. No. We're cousins. That's not possible. We're distant cousins. Royal lines have intermarried for generations to keep the bloodline strong. It's not forbidden. He ran a hand through his hair, looking as rattled as I felt. But it's dangerous. A mated pair of royal wolves has more power than either one alone. That's why the conspirators killed my uncle's family. They couldn't risk a united royal line. And if we bond? I whispered. Then we become a target. Together, we'd be unstoppable. Which is exactly why some wolves will do anything to prevent it. I sank onto the bed, my legs giving out. This was too much. All of it, the revelation of my heritage, the trials, and now this. This impossible pull toward a man I just met, who was family and stranger and potentially something more. I need time, I said. I need to think. We don't have time. The trials start in 3 days. Theron knelt in front of me, his eyes serious. Sarah, listen to me. I know this is overwhelming. I know you're scared. But you are stronger than you think. Your wolf is powerful, I felt it in that howl. We just need to wake her up fully. How? Training. Every day until the trials. I'll teach you to shift properly, to fight, to access your royal abilities. His expression softened. And I'll keep you safe. I swear it. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. But trust was a luxury I'd lost 7 years ago. The training started the next morning, before dawn. Theron woke me with a knock on the door and a simple command, get dressed. We run. Running turned out to be the first test. Theron led me through the forest at a pace that would have killed me a week ago. But my wolf, slowly waking, slowly remembering what she was, pushed me forward. We ran for an hour before Theron finally stopped in a clearing. Good, he said, barely winded while I gasped for air. Your endurance is better than I expected. Is that supposed to be a compliment? I managed between breaths. It's an observation. Now shift. I froze. I don't think. Don't think. Just do it. Your wolf wants out. I can feel her. Let her come. He was right. My wolf was prowling, restless, eager to be free. But the memory of the pain, the wrongness of shifting in the attic. It won't hurt like before, Theron said, reading my fear. That pain came from the drugs they gave you, the ward suppressing your wolf. There's nothing holding you back now. I closed my eyes and reached for my wolf. She came willingly this time, surging forward with a joy that took my breath away. The shift was smooth, natural, nothing like the agony I remembered. When I opened my eyes, I was looking at the world through wolf vision, sharper, clearer, more alive. And Theron was staring at me with something like awe. "Beautiful," he whispered. Then he shifted too, his wolf emerging in a fluid motion that spoke of years of practice. His wolf was massive, coal-black with those golden eyes, radiating power and authority. An alpha in every sense of the word. My wolf should have been intimidated. Instead, she padded forward and touched her nose to his. The connection that sparked between us was electric, overwhelming. I felt his wolf's strength, his control, the iron will that held a kingdom together. And he felt my wolf's power, raw, untamed, but undeniably royal. For a moment, we just stood there, wolves recognizing each other on a level deeper than words. Then Theron pulled back, breaking the connection. He shifted back to human form, and after a moment, I did the same. "That," he said, his voice shaky, "is going to be a problem." "The bond?" "The bond." He looked at me, and I saw the conflict in his eyes. Every time our wolves connect like that, it gets stronger. By the time the trials come. He didn't finish, but I understood. By the time the trials came, denying the bond would be nearly impossible. And that would make us both targets. We trained for 3 days straight. Fighting, shifting, learning to access the power that came with royal blood. Theron was a harsh teacher, pushing me past my limits again and again. But I got stronger. My wolf got stronger. And the bond between us grew stronger too, whether we wanted it to or not. On the third night, Theron came to my room with news. "The trials begin tomorrow at dawn. The first test is strength. You'll face 3 opponents in combat. The second is control. You'll have to shift and hold your form while under magical assault. The third is heritage, a blood ritual that will prove your lineage beyond doubt. And if I fail any of them? You won't. Theron. You won't fail, Sarah. I won't let you." There was such certainty in his voice that I almost believed him. The first trial took place in an arena in the center of the compound. Hundreds of wolves gathered to watch, their voices rising in a cacophony of speculation and doubt. I stood in the center of the ring, wearing simple training clothes, trying not to shake. 3 opponents entered from the opposite side, all warriors, all bigger and stronger than me. "First blood ends the match," Elder Cashin announced from her seat overlooking the arena. "Begin." They came at me fast. I dodged the first strike, using the speed Theron had drilled into me. Blocked the second. But the third caught me in the ribs, driving the air from my lungs. Pain exploded through my side. I stumbled, and they pressed the advantage. Too fast. They were too fast. My wolf snarled, wanting to shift, but I held her back. "Not yet. Wait for the right moment." A fist came at my face. I ducked and drove my elbow up, catching my attacker under the chin. He staggered back. 1 down. The other 2 circled me, more cautious now. I was bleeding from a cut above my eye, my ribs screaming with every breath. But I was still standing. They attacked together. I couldn't block both. One got through, slamming into my shoulder. And something in me snapped. My wolf surged forward without permission, and I shifted mid-dodge. The warrior's second strike passed through empty air as I dropped to 4 legs. In wolf form, I was faster. Stronger. Royal. I took down the second opponent with a leap that drove him to the ground, my jaws closing just short of his throat. First blood. The third tried to run. I caught him in 3 strides. The arena went silent as I stood over my fallen opponents, blood on my muzzle, victory clear. But then I felt it. Wrong. Something was wrong. My vision blurred. My legs buckled. Poison. The word came from somewhere deep in my wolf's instinct. I'd been poisoned. I heard Theron roar my name, heard the panic in his voice. Then I was falling, and the world went black. The fevered dreams came in waves. I was 7 again, running through the forest. My mother's hand in mine, her voice urgent, "Don't look back, Sarah. Don't stop running." But I did look back. I saw our house burning. Saw figures in the shadows, wolves with murder in their eyes. And I saw Marcus. Younger Marcus, my captor, driving a blade into my father's chest while he begged for his daughter's life. But there was someone else. Someone standing behind Marcus, giving orders in a voice I almost recognized. "Leave no witnesses. The royal line ends tonight." I tried to see his face, but the smoke was too thick, the flames too bright. Then my mother was screaming, and hands were grabbing me, and everything went red. I woke to find Theron holding my hand, his eyes red-rimmed with exhaustion. "Sarah." His voice cracked. "Thank the moon." "Poison," I managed. My throat felt like sandpaper. "Yes. Someone put nightshade in your water before the trial. Enough to kill a normal wolf. But not a royal one. Your healing kicked in. Took 3 days, but you fought it off." He squeezed my hand. "You scared me, cousin. I saw something. In the dreams." I struggled to sit up, ignoring his protests. "The night my parents died. Marcus was there, I saw him. But there was someone else. Someone giving orders." Theron went very still. "Who?" "I don't know. I couldn't see his face. But Theron, I met his eyes. He's still here. Whoever gave the order to kill my family, he's in your inner circle. And he doesn't want me to remember." The implications hung between us like a blade. Someone close to Theron. Someone trusted. Someone who'd just tried to poison me. "We'll find him," Theron said, his voice deadly calm. "But first, you need to know something. When you were dying, when the poison was shutting down your organs, your royal healing didn't just wake up. It exploded. Dr. Chen said she's never seen anything like it. You healed injuries from years ago, old fractures, internal damage, everything." He paused, and I saw something like wonder in his face. "Your heritage is proven, Sarah. Beyond any doubt. The elders have agreed to recognize you as Princess Seraphina, co-heir to the throne." His grip on my hand tightened. "Welcome home, cousin. Now let's find out who's trying to kill you." If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. I knew who it was the moment I woke from the fever dreams. The voice giving orders that night, calm, cultured, absolutely certain of his authority. I'd heard it a dozen times since arriving at the compound, always at Theron's side, always whispering counsel. Lord Kane. Theron's chief advisor. His right hand. The wolf who'd helped him unite the packs and maintain peace for a decade. The wolf who'd orchestrated my family's murder. "I need to speak to Theron," I said to Dr. Chen, who was checking my vitals with a concerned frown. "You need to rest. You've been unconscious for 3 days. Now." My wolf pushed the command into my voice, and Chen's eyes widened. She wasn't used to me giving orders. Neither was I. But I was done being silent. Chen left, and minutes later Theron burst through the door, Kane right behind him. I met Kane's eyes across the room, and I saw it, the flash of recognition, of calculation. He knew that I knew. "Sarah." Theron moved to my bedside, relief written across his face. "Chen said you were awake, that you needed." It was him. I kept my gaze locked on Kane. He gave the order. The night my parents died, he was there. The room went deadly silent. Kane's expression didn't change. "The princess is confused. The poison causes hallucinations. I'm not confused. I sat up fully, ignoring the protest of muscles still healing. I remember your voice, Lord Kane. Leave no witnesses. The royal line ends tonight. You said it while Marcus Blackwood murdered my father. Theron turned slowly to face his advisor. Kane. Your Majesty, this is clearly a delusion brought on by. My wolf recognizes your scent. I let my eyes flash, let my power show. She remembers you standing in the shadows while my house burned. While my mother died. Kane's mask finally cracked. Just for a moment, I saw the cold calculation beneath the concerned advisor persona. Even if this fantasy were true, he said carefully, what proof do you have? The fevered dreams of a traumatized girl against the word of your most trusted counselor? Her word is proof enough. Theron's voice was ice. She's royal. Her memories carry the weight of bloodline truth. Then perhaps you should ask yourself why her memories only surfaced after she was poisoned. Kane's tone turned sharp. Perhaps someone is manipulating the poor girl, using her trauma to drive a wedge between us. It was a good play. I could see doubt flicker in Theron's eyes, not doubt in me, but doubt in his own judgment. How could he have trusted a traitor for so long? There's a way to prove it, I said. A blood testimony. Ancient royal law, if a wolf swears truth on their blood and lies, the magic kills them instantly. Kane went very still. That's an archaic practice, he said. Not used in centuries. Because it works. I smiled, showing teeth. Swear on your blood that you had no part in my family's death, Lord Kane. If you're innocent, the magic won't harm you. The silence stretched. Kane looked at Theron, then back to me, weighing his options. Finally, he laughed. It was a cold sound, utterly devoid of humor. Clever girl, he said. Too clever for your own good, like your father. His hand moved to the sword at his side. Yes, I gave the order. Yes, I orchestrated the massacre. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Theron moved before Kane finished speaking, but Kane was faster. He drew his blade and backed toward the door, his free hand already moving in the complex gestures of a summoning spell. I've had a decade to prepare for this, Kane said, his voice eerily calm. A decade to build alliances, to place my wolves in key positions, to ensure that when the time came, I could take what should have been mine from the start. The throne was never yours, Theron growled, his wolf pushing against his skin. It should have been. I was the strongest, the smartest, the most capable. But your father chose blood over merit, tradition over progress. Kane's eyes blazed with old resentment. So I eliminated the competition. All of it. Or so I thought. He looked at me, and I saw murder in his gaze. You should have stayed hidden, little princess. Should have died in that attic like a good victim. But now you've forced my hand. The summoning spell completed, and I felt the pulse of magic ripple through the compound. Kane smiled. The final recognition ceremony is in 2 hours. Every pack leader in the kingdom will be gathered to witness your ascension. What better time to take the throne? You're staging a coup, Theron said flatly. I'm claiming what's mine. Half the elders already support me, they know the royal bloodline is weak, dying. Better a strong leader than outdated tradition. Kane's gaze flicked to me. And if the lost princess happens to die in the chaos, well. That's just unfortunate. He kicked open the door and was gone before either of us could stop him. Alarms started blaring throughout the compound. We need to lock down the ceremony, Theron said, already moving. Get the loyalists armed, secure the. There's no time. I forced myself out of bed, my legs shaky but holding. He's had a decade to prepare. Your loyalists are already compromised. We can't trust anyone. Then what do you suggest? I met his eyes. We run the ceremony as planned. Let him make his move. And when he does, we end this. That's suicide. You're barely recovered. I'm royal. I let my power flare, felt my wolf rise strong and certain. And I'm done hiding. The recognition ceremony was held in the Great Hall, a massive space that could hold hundreds of wolves. Every pack leader in the kingdom had gathered, dressed in formal regalia, their eyes hungry with curiosity and calculation. They wanted to see if I was real. If the lost princess was truly worthy of the crown. Cain wanted to see me dead. I could feel his presence in the crowd, could sense the tension of his conspirators positioned throughout the hall. They were waiting for his signal. Theron stood beside me at the front of the hall, radiating controlled fury. He'd wanted to call off the ceremony, to root out Cain's supporters first. But I'd convinced him this was the only way. Cain wouldn't wait. Wouldn't give us time to prepare. If we cancelled, he'd just strike somewhere else, somewhere we couldn't control. Better to face him here, now, with both of us ready. Elder Cashin stepped forward to begin the ceremony, her voice carrying through the hall. We gather to recognize Princess Seraphina, daughter of Prince Adrian and Princess Lissa, as royal heir and co-regent of our kingdom. She looked at me, her expression unreadable. Princess, do you accept the responsibilities of your bloodline? I do. My voice was steady. Do you swear to protect our people, to lead with wisdom and strength, to honor the legacy of those who came before? I swear it. Cashin nodded. Then by the authority vested in me by pack law and ancient tradition, I recognize. The doors exploded inward. Cain's wolves poured into the hall, dozens of them, armed and ready. More than I'd expected. More than should have been possible to hide. Forgive the interruption, Cain called, striding through his warriors with casual confidence. But I'm afraid I can't allow this farce to continue. Chaos erupted. Wolves shifted, weapons were drawn, alliances fractured in real time as pack leaders chose sides. Some moved to defend us. More moved to join Cain. Stand down, Theron commanded, his alpha power rolling through the hall. Cain, you're committing treason. Treason? Cain laughed. I'm saving this kingdom from weak leadership. Your father was weak. You're weak. And this broken little princess? He gestured dismissively at me. She's a liability waiting to happen. The only liability here is you, I said, stepping forward. My wolf was snarling, demanding blood. You murdered my family. Stole my life. And now you want to steal my throne? Your throne. Cain's smile was cruel. Child, you were locked in an attic for 7 years. You're damaged goods. Unstable. Everyone can see it. He addressed the crowd. Can you really trust a feral wolf to help rule? She'll bring nothing but chaos and destruction. I felt the doubt ripple through the hall. He was good, playing on their fears, their prejudices. The broken princess narrative was hard to shake. But I wasn't broken anymore. You're right, I said, my voice carrying. I was locked away. Starved. Drugged. Told I was worthless for 7 years. And you know what? I survived. I'm still here. Still standing. Still royal. I let my power flare, let every wolf in the hall feel the strength of my bloodline. You want to call me feral? Fine. I've got teeth and I'm not afraid to use them. You want to call me unstable? Good. Stability is for wolves who've never had to fight for their lives. I've fought for mine every single day since I was 16. I stepped closer to Cain, and I saw uncertainty flicker in his eyes for the first time. You think you can take my throne? Try it. But know this, I'm not the scared little girl you tried to kill. I'm the wolf who survived the impossible. And I'm done being anyone's victim. The hall had gone silent. Every eye was on me. Then Theron stepped up beside me, his presence solid and sure. The princess speaks truth, he said. And anyone who stands with Cain stands against the crown. Choose wisely. For a moment, the hall teetered on a knife's edge. Then Cain made his move. He shifted mid-lunge, his wolf massive and battle-scarred, aiming straight for my throat. I shifted to meet him. Our wolves collided in an explosion of fur and fangs. Cain was bigger, stronger, with decades more experience. But I was royal. And I was pissed. We rolled across the floor, snapping and snarling. His teeth caught my shoulder, and I tasted blood. Mine or his, I couldn't tell. Around us, the hall erupted into full civil war. Wolves fought wolves, the pack tearing itself apart along lines of loyalty and ambition. I heard Theron roar, heard the sounds of battle, but I couldn't focus on anything except Cain's jaws coming at my throat. I twisted, barely avoiding the killing bite, and got my teeth into his foreleg. Bone crunched. He howled and threw me off. I hit the ground hard, my ribs screaming. Too weak. Still too weak from the poison. Cain circled me, blood dripping from his leg but his eyes alight with victory. He knew he had me. Then Theron was there, his black wolf slamming into Cain's side with devastating force. The two males fought with savage intensity, but even together, we were struggling. Cain had planned this too well. His wolves were everywhere, overwhelming the loyalists. We were losing. Together, my wolf whispered. We fight together. I didn't understand. Theron and I were already fighting side by side. No. Together. Royal harmony. Like the old kings. Royal harmony. I'd read about it in the journals Theron had given me, an ancient ability where two royal wolves synchronized completely, becoming greater than the sum of their parts. But it required absolute trust. Absolute unity. A bond. I looked at Theron, and I felt it. The pull between our wolves, the connection we'd been fighting since the moment we met. Yes, his wolf answered mine. Together. We shifted human for just a moment, long enough to lock eyes. Long enough to make the choice. Then we shifted back, and this time, we moved as one. It was like nothing I'd ever felt. Theron's strength flowing into me, my speed flowing into him. His control steadying my wild power, my raw fury sharpening his discipline. We became one organism with two bodies, moving in perfect synchronization. Cain didn't stand a chance. We hit him from both sides, our attacks coordinated with preternatural precision. Every time he defended against one of us, the other struck. Every opening he created, we exploited instantly. It was beautiful. Terrible. Inevitable. Within minutes, Cain was down, bloodied and beaten. I stood over him, my jaws at his throat, waiting for Theron's command. Around us, the fighting was ending. Cain's supporters saw their leader defeated and were surrendering or fleeing. We'd won. But then I saw movement from the corner of my eye. Marcus Blackwood, my captor, emerging from the crowd with a blade in his hand. Not aimed at me. Aimed at Theron. I didn't think. Just moved. The blade meant for Theron's heart caught me in the side instead. Pain exploded through me, white-hot and consuming. I heard Theron roar, heard Marcus scream as Theron's claws tore him apart. But the damage was done. I shifted back to human, blood pouring from the wound. Too much blood. Too fast. No. Theron was beside me instantly, pressing his hands against the wound. No, no, no. Sarah, stay with me. Got him, I managed, trying to smile. Got them both. You're not dying. You hear me? You don't get to die. His voice broke. Not after everything. Not after. He stopped, and I saw the knowledge in his eyes. The terrible understanding of what it would take to save me. A complete bond. Not just the harmony we'd accessed in battle, but a true mate bond. Permanent. Irreversible. Our fates tied together for life. Do it, I whispered. Sarah. I choose this. Choose you. Blood filled my mouth, but I forced the words out. Choose the throne, the people, all of it. I'm done running. Done hiding. So bond with me, cousin. Make me your mate. And let's show them what royal wolves can really do. Theron's eyes blazed gold. Are you sure? Never been more sure of anything. He leaned down and pressed his forehead to mine, and I felt the bond snap into place, deeper than the harmony, stronger than pack ties, fundamental as breathing. Power flooded through me. His strength, his will, his unshakable determination. And he felt my power in return, wild and fierce and absolutely unbreakable. The wound in my side began to close, accelerated by the mate bond's magic. Within seconds, I was whole again. We stood together, and every wolf in the hall felt the shift in power. Felt the bond between us, undeniable and absolute. Two royals. Two mates. Two rulers become one. Elder Cashin was the first to kneel. Others followed, one by one, until every loyal wolf in the hall had bowed. Long live the Alpha King, Cashin called. Long live the Alpha Queen. The cry was taken up by dozens, then hundreds of voices. Long live the King and Queen. I looked at Theron, and he smiled, a real smile, full of warmth and promise and something that looked a lot like love. Welcome home, Your Majesty, he said softly. Good to be here, I replied. The aftermath took hours. Kane's surviving conspirators were arrested, Marcus's body was disposed of, and the hall was slowly restored to order. I sat on the throne beside Theron, still wearing my blood-stained clothes, and accepted the oaths of loyalty from pack leaders who'd spent the last hour trying to kill me. Politics. I was going to have to get used to it. Elder Cashin approached as the last of the formal oaths were completed. Your Majesties, she said, inclining her head. There's something you should know. We found documents in Kane's chambers. Records of his conspiracy. We'll review them, Theron said. There's one in particular you need to see now. Cashin handed him a folder. It mentions another child. I went very still. What? According to Kane's notes, your parents had 2 children. You, and a younger sibling. An infant when the massacre occurred. My heart stopped. That's impossible. I would have remembered. You were 7. Traumatized. And according to this, the baby was kept secret, even from most of the family. Cashin's expression was grave. Kane spent years searching for them. Never found them. He believed they'd died in the fire. But? Theron prompted. But in his final notes, written just days ago, he expressed doubt. Said there were rumors of a child matching the description, hidden in a remote pack far from here. I couldn't breathe. A sibling. I had a sibling. We need to find them, I said. If they're out there. They're in danger, Theron finished. If Kane knew about them, others might too. He looked at Cashin. Start the search. Use every resource we have. Find this child. As Cashin left, Theron turned to me. If they exist. They do. I didn't know how I knew, but I was certain. My wolf feels it. Somewhere out there, there's another royal wolf. Another survivor. Then we'll find them. He took my hand. Together. Together. The word had new meaning now, weighted with the bond between us, with the promise of a shared future. I'd spent 7 years believing I was alone. Broken. Worthless. Now I was a queen with a mate, a kingdom, and apparently a sibling waiting to be found. The lost princess had become something more. Something powerful. Something that would shake the foundations of pack society and change everything we thought we knew about the royal bloodline. But that was a problem for tomorrow. Tonight, I was just going to sit here beside my mate, my cousin, my king, and marvel at the impossible fact that I'd survived. That we'd both survived. And that together, we were going to make damn sure no one else had to go through what we did. The broken wolf was dead. Long live the Alpha Queen. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.